The 25 most annoying things about online gamers. Playing games online isn't just about avoiding bullets, but also the F-bombs of the internet's growing army of digital yobs. They say, give man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you'll feed him for a lifetime. It's a perfect idiom for self-sufficiency, and one of the most well-known such sayings. Perhaps this may soon be eclipsed, though, by the phrase you can give someone a game, and they'll play for a while. Give them a mic, and they'll troll for a lifetime. It's no revelation that the online world is full of trolls, people who set out to purposely irritate and annoy to get a response. Forums are full of them, comment sections are their pastime, and games really are their playgrounds. Far from being in it for the fun of the game itself, or to have a good time with others, some players instead revel in spoiling things for everyone else, be it intentional or not. Some may go about their daily dose of upset and make no secret of it, whilst others might cause problems unwittingly. Regardless of how the issues arise, most of us have come across players online that make our blood boil. And here's our look at the 25 most annoying things about online gamers. 25. Gender swappers. For a reason only a player's psychoanalyst could say, some gamers like to go online and play as the opposite sex. Not being honest about gender is a strange side effect of gaming. We are not talking a woman controlling a male character in a game. It's not like there's too much choice still, or a man navigating Lara Croft through Tomb Raider. No, it's in the likes of PlayStation Home. Even beyond that, in other online games, where in particular guys pretend to be girls, typing sexual comments, and trying to hook up with men. To be clear, sexuality and gender identity aren't the issues here. It's that these interactions are rarely anything to do with legitimate advances, and are often simply mind games, or tricking the person they are talking to. 24. Clan players. Clans are everywhere these days. Arguably gaining major popularity in the FPS genre, most types of game now support clans, be they RPGs, driving or open world titles like GTA Online. Clans are a way for like-minded players and friends to bond together and take on the world with their combined skills. That's awesome. However, do we need it in every game? And do you have to be so damn vocal about it? Not every game we play is a pro gaming competition, and if you're a member of a clan, you can take time off and give everyone else a break, especially if it's a game that doesn't even support clans. Simply adding your clan tag to your game name doesn't make this so. The problem here is that most players in a game or lobby are in it for fun. The Xbox 360 even has game area types, such as recreational and hardcore, to denote this. So, if you're a hardcore clan player in a lobby full of people just wanting to play the game, can you just leave us in peace? Thanking you. 23. Achievement hoarders. Ever since Microsoft popularized in-game achievements, a new class of player has appeared, the achievement whore, not our term, we should add. Rather than play the game to simply enjoy it and unlock rewards naturally, these players obsessively ditch the story or any slow-paced immersion and, with achievements list in hand, go about earning each and every achievement/trophy they can in as short a time as possible. And damn any teammates that get in their way. They have to be the one to get that high kill count or flag capture, and if you don't let them, they'll sure as hell let you know about it. Now, what players do in their own time is their own business, and far be it from me to say otherwise. However, when a player on your team is more concerned with earning a rare achievement in an online game, causing you to lose, that's a different matter. There's something to be said for not including achievements in online modes, and anyone who's been stuck in a game with players of this type will likely agree. 22. Brothers bromances, the jock-driven testosterone-fueled mentality, are all too prevalent in online gaming. And this kind of player is one of those that simply can't get enough of their own voice. Often acting as if they are downing a few cool ones at a bar with others in the game after a big match, their bro speak universally annoys. Why can't we all just admit we are sat on our couch in our undergarments, drinking coke and eating yesterday's pizza? Do we really have to pretend otherwise? 21. Bored experts. We've all met them. These are players that have spent so much time in a game, they've simply got nothing else to do or see, so they often resort to wasting time and flit between various types of player on this list, even if they are not naturally bad players per se. They are just bored. Some use their experience to help others, which is nice, but others take that power and use it for evil, using superior weapons to kill newcomers, or spending time lording it over those less well off. They can often be seen in games that show player levels and or have rare weapons and armor. These players are always high level, carry the best equipment, and with no new quests to do until the next DLC, simply kill time, and often other players 20. Spoilers in the world of voice chat enabled titles, spoilers are inevitable. Many games come with both single and multiplayer, with the solo title having an actual story, well, at least a semblance of one. If you're the type of person who always wants to see things for themselves and hates to know what's coming, then you go online before you finish said story at your own risk. AD content continues below. People in online lobbies often blurt out plot points from the main game, revealing how the story ends or what happens in a certain missions, such as that mission from Call of Duty 4, and there are no spoiler tags here. As with real life, most people consider that others may not yet know or want to know such events, but there are plenty of lobby jokers who will reveal this information, accidentally or otherwise. Whichever it is, it's no less irritating. 19. Farmers. Usually, it's only MMORPGs that suffer from this kind of online player, and I use air quotes for a reason here. Farmers are players who spend hour after hour farming the game for money and resources, rather than actually playing the game as it's intended. This may be in a legitimate manner, such as repeating a particularly lucrative mission, or it may be in the form of exploits, effectively cheating their way to riches. In some circumstances, farmers are actually paid players, or in some parts of the world, exploited ones, who grind away for money, selling it to other players for real-world cash. It's a practice that may not hurt players as obviously as griefing or bad language, but it undermines the game and allows players to amass more wealth and acquire the best kit without actually working for it. It can even adversely affect the game's economy, with a flood of higher-level items becoming worthless. Unsurprisingly, developers like farmers even less than players. 18. Laggers. AD. It's nowhere near as prevalent as it once was thanks to the saturation of broadband connections and more affordable gaming hardware, but there are still some instances of people lagging. Mainly an issue facing PC gamers, where system specifications vary. Laggers are players who simply can't keep up due to slower connection speeds or hardware. This causes lag, players jumping around or freezing. It's a pain, and it can affect an entire game session if said players remain. AD content continues below. Although it may be unfair to judge players who simply don't have or can't afford better systems or internet connections, it's always a problem to the game itself, and some would say most titles should group player speeds, keeping things even for everyone. 17. Overly attached friends. Online gaming is all about friends, and it's great to have a group of them on call whenever you want a session. However, this can quickly turn to annoyance when friends constantly send messages or game requests to you when you're busy doing something else. You can be desperately fighting that hard to beat boss, watching a Netflix movie, or playing in a really enjoyable online session, and all you'll see in the top corner of your screen is message after message after message. And, in games like Call of Duty or GTA Online, it's not always easy to simply stop and reply, which makes you feel ignorant to boot. Not all games or online services allow you to set a busy status, or even turn yourself invisible, so this can be a problem, and one that can get you killed. 16. Millionaires in the age of the microtransaction. These kinds of players irk many. Although many gamers have to save up to simply buy a vanilla version of a game, or choose a free-to-play title due to lack of funds, there are some for which money is seemingly no issue. They've got everything: weapons, armor, player colors, rare skills, special edition content, and all the DLC, and they wear it like a badge. AD often making a point of strutting around lobbies or hub areas full of lower level or less financially sound players. They imagine themselves as gaming royalty, even if everyone else has another word for them. AD content continues below 15. LED3P14Y3R5 Obviously, the English language simply isn't sufficient to show the world just how cool you are, and so there are many players who feel the need to craft grammar-shattering tags for themselves, jumbling up letters and numbers because, well, they're just too cool for school. Okay, English class, anyway. It was a trend started in the late 90s, and for most who dabbled in it, it quickly died off in most areas of the internet, but gaming is one area where so-called L33T speak has yet to go the way of the dinosaur. Some players should note, names like Elit3K113R, Haxx04-4-L1F3 or XXR3AP34-3XX do not create an air of coolness, fear, or awe. Instead, they simply bring to mind several derogatory words and an image of a 12-year-old pretending to be 21. And more often than not, gamers with such name tags often fall into many of this list's categories. 14. Children. Speaking of underage players, children make it onto this list with ease. Now that's not because they are children, or that younger players shouldn't play online. It's when these prepubescent gamers play games well beyond their years, or behave like foul-mouthed idiots. I've lost count of how many mini 50 cents I've seen spouting abuse in GTA Online, or Call of Duty, and it's shocking to think that some of the most foul language I've heard comes not from a 20 or 30-year-old, but a player who can't even see a 12-rated movie without parental accompaniment. 13. Pretty fly, for a white guy. AD. What's worse than a foul-mouthed 8-year-old constantly claiming he's had relations with your mother? A foul-mouthed 8-year-old constantly claiming he's had relations with your mother, who thinks he's a gangster, that's what. AD. Content continues below. Constantly trying to sound like a thug you might see on the streets of Los Santos. These players are everywhere, and arguably make you run for the mute button faster than anyone else. Even more crude than their normal siblings, there's no expletive or comment too foul for such players, and they know it. 12. Glitches. Every game has glitches, little physical or logical issues that can allow players to gain access to places they are not supposed to be, amongst other things. When this is introduced to an online title, it can become a major problem. For one, as with achievement whores, there are groups of players who, rather than pay the game, run off and try to glitch the level, attempting to find ways to exploit such glitches. This leaves your team short-handed and upsets the whole flow of a match. Secondly, when some such players find a glitch and get onto a previously inaccessible rooftop or area of the map that makes them invisible, they then use it as an unfair advantage, camping in a glitch spot racking up kills. Until they are patched, if at all, these glitches, and the players that exploit them, are a bane of those playing a game properly. 11. Singers. AD. Quite why some players decide to have the radio on full blast in the background while playing, we are not certain, but you know what? We don't want to hear it, and what's more, we certainly don't want to hear your god-awful singing voice. AD. Content continues below, but some players just can't help themselves and take to a game lobby or match like it was a qualifying round for the X Factor. And that's if you're lucky, believe it or not. Often these kind of players can forego any form of actual language and simply moan and grunt their way through a match. It's bizarre, sometimes disturbing, and always unwelcome. We'll happily beg them to put a cork in it. 10. Noobs. Now, I'm certainly not going to jump on the noob hater bandwagon, as each and every player out there deserves to play any game they wish. We're all newcomers to each and every game we buy, unless it's a Sammy series, and the term noob is usually used in a derogatory manner, which is unfair. That said, there are definite downsides to being in a game with fresh-faced players, especially if you're in a team-based setup. Newcomers can, a lot of the time, be perfectly fine, as they are gamers already and have some inherent skills. Sometimes, though, they are little more than a handicap, totally unable to function as part of your team. The worst type of noob player is the one who seems to embrace their green standing. They try little to actually play correctly, bumming around doing stupid things. There are masses of them in GTA Online, for example, and you have to wonder why they even bought the game in the first place. 9. Backstabbers. AD. Only lower down the list as there are fewer games that allow this kind of player. The Backstabber is, arguably, the only one worse than our number 1. The Backstabber is a player who pretends to be a friend, even to the point of helping you out for a time, only to lure you into a false sense of security, so they can stab you in the back, often literally. AD. Content continues below. They'll act kind and passive, and then when you least expect it, boom. They'll kill you for the cheap point. I've mentioned GTA Online a bit already, as it's fresh in our minds, and is one of the games that features pretty much this whole list of player types, and here the Backstabber is particularly prevalent. They'll ensure they have no weapon drawn, offer to drive you somewhere, or rob a store with you, and eventually they'll kill you just for laughs. Not only is this immediately annoying, but it has more far-reaching repercussions, as it lowers your opinion of players in the game globally. Many GTA Online players who want to just enjoy the game, for example, now avoid other players entirely, as they simply don't trust anyone. It's a shame. 8. Happy Campers. Usually a player type in FPS titles, the camper is a person who likes to set up shop in a hard to reach or see place, so they can rack up the easy kills. They'll spend most of the match stationary, waiting for enemies to wander into their gun sights, and usually incur the wrath of almost every other player in the game. Often associated with sniper rifles, this is a gaming tactic that's been vilified so much that developers have even started to put in measures to stop it, timing how long a player stays in one place, and punishing them if they do. It's sad, though, as camping is a suitable tactic to employ in some game types, such as base defense and even capture the flag, but it's been abused so much that, if players dare to stand still for more than a few seconds, they're branded a camper, and suffer a painful fate. 7. Rage Quitters. 80. So, you've been involved in a pronged battle, long race or whatever kind of multiplayer challenge you're playing with another gamer, and you're winning. Your kill count is higher, approaching the winning score, or that checkered flag is closing in, and your pulse is racing as victory is looming. Then, out of the blue, the game is over. There's no fanfare, no impressive scoreboard or award. Oh no. That's because your competition has upped and left in a huff. AD. Content continues below. Facing defeat and unwilling to accept it, Rage Quitters simply can't bring themselves to admit they can be beaten, and by no means will they allow you to gain a solid win. By quitting out they, in their own minds, avoid a defeat, even if it still is one, but more importantly, they rob you of yours. What sportsmanship, eh? 6. Poor losers. Poor losers, unlike Rage Quitters, stay around after the final score, but in the end, you'd wish they hadn't. Rather than the standard good game or acknowledgement of your skill, they'll instead insult and berate you, accuse you of cheating, blame their controller, or whatever force that made them lose the game. There's just no way you could possibly have been the better player, no way. Poor losers often set lobbers alight with abuse, and during a match they'll often throw around even more abusive comments, accusing others of cheating and questioning their sexuality. The truth, however, is that they're simply not that good, but we all knew that anyway. 5. Poor winners. Arguably even worse than poor losers, poor winners can make your blood boil. Not content with simply soaking up a victory, or taking appreciative comments of a good game, they instead insult the runners-up, stating for all to see their self-proclaimed godlike abilities. They're arrogant, self-absorbed, and as with all good trolls, they know how to push people's buttons. The best way to deal with these guys? Silence. They hate it for bad language. AD. Whether they're winning, losing, or something in between, some players just can't keep their mouths on a leash, and the foul language just keeps on flowing. They'll swear when they die, swear when they kill, swear before and after a match, even swear when they have to go take a dump. For some reason, this kind of player, seemingly suffering from Tourette's, just can't stop dropping F-bombs and using all the colorful language under the sun, sometimes as if they are talking to themselves. AD. content continues below. This offensive word salad usually drowns out any legitimate conversation or team speak and isn't limited to adult games. Even games for younger players, such as racing titles, feature these fools who think nothing of using such language around kids. 3. Cheating is nothing new, and even after all of the evolution of gaming and the arrival of all other irritating player types, it's still high on the list. Cheating is, simply put, inexcusable and pointless, and undermines the entire gaming pastime. The main focal point of playing any game is to be challenged, be it single or multiplayer. You want to overcome difficulties using your own skills, and online you want to beat other players to demonstrate your abilities. It's why you spend money on games. If you simply want to see a story without any form of challenge, go to the movies. If you want to win multiplayer with no threat of losing, start a game on your own and use 2 controllers. Cheating comes in many forms, be it exploits, hacks, or even legitimate cheat codes. The latter are usually not available in multiplayer, but exploits and other such tricks are, and we've all been the victim of cheats, from Counter-Strike to Call of Duty. In the end, no one likes a cheat too. Spawn killers are a few kills that require less skill than spawn killing, and in games where it's possible, this is one of the single most infuriating things that can happen. Some players who want to eschew any form of actual gamesmanship or skill instead take other people's retaliation out of the equation by simply not giving them a chance in the first place. Finding spawn points, they'll sit there and kill people as they spawn back into the level. They don't even get a chance to move much of the time, let alone fight back, and this leads to a massive kills for the spawn killers and a thoroughly wasted and infuriating game session for the victim. Content continues below. Some games put rules in place to avoid this, such as invulnerable grace periods, but not all do, and if you're playing such a game, get ready for some rage. 1. Griefers. Arguably this class of player, which tops our list, could encapsulate everything here, but the thing about griefers is that they have no real agenda or tactic other than to make your life hell, and they'll do anything to do so, as if they have a condition that makes them want to be idiots, and an unexplainable hatred for you. Even scores, kill counts, or any reward means nothing to these morons, who will even sacrifice themselves to cause you grief. This totally unreasonable, childish, and downright ridiculous behavior is enough to make normal gamers shun multiplayer completely, and much like online forums, there's an ever-growing presence of them, and all they want is to irritate and get a rise out of people. Only in games they can do that in a way that doesn't require knowledge of the English language, something that's all too noticeable in forums. There's simply no reasoning with them, or explanation for their actions. All you can do is ignore them, or leave the game. Whatever you do, though, never fuel them by rising to their provocations. It's just like lighting a match in a room full of fireworks. You'll find griefers in almost every game, from COD to Minecraft.